Hello learners, welcome to the next session under the part of AI lecture series. Today we'll look at learning methods, what we'll be using or which are used with machine learning. We know machine learning is subdomain of AI. The main purpose of AI is to make machines intelligent like human beings. So machines to become intelligent, they should learn the concept the way human beings learn. So here in this session, we look at few learning methods which are used by machine learning. So machine learning is an application of AI that enables systems to learn based on experience without being clearly programmed. So we want the way human beings learn through experience, we want the machines also to learn through the experience, that is previous data. It focuses on the development of computer programs that can access data and use it for their own learning. So what are the types of learning which are associated with machine learning? You have supervised learning, unsupervised learning, semi-supervised learning, reinforcement learning, deep learning. So there are many learning types, but we'll be focusing only on these five. Okay? So let us start with supervised learning. Supervised learning is humans teaching machines. It's nothing but supervised learning. As the name indicates, the learning is carried out under some supervision, like a teacher teaching in a class. It's like teaching a child that 2 plus 2 is 4, or showing an image of cat and teaching the child it's a cat. So the approach of supervised learning is same, the way we teach a child or the way we teach in a classroom. That is, it is presented with all the information it needs to reach the determined conclusion. It learns how to reach the conclusion under the supervision. Like we tell them, okay, this is right and this is what you got the right answer, right? So supervised learning can take what it has learned in the past and apply that to new data using labeled examples to predict future patterns and events, right? So here you have to give the machine what is correct along with the labels, the correct labels, and then machine has to predict on the new data what should be the correct label for the data. It requires the algorithm's possible outputs be already known and that the data used to train the algorithm is already labeled with correct answers. The algorithm learns by comparing its actual output with the correct outputs to find errors. It then modifies the model accordingly. Fine. So supervised learning is commonly used in applications where historical data predicts likely future events. So whenever using the historical data, you prevent what may be the next event, right? So it is mainly divided into two types, that is classification and regression. So classification is nothing but the problem that involves predicting a class label. And in case of regression is a problem that involves predicting a numerical label. A simple example for classification, like you classify something like identification of fake Twitter accounts. Right? So how do you identify it? What are the parameters here? The input includes the list of followers and the rate at which they have started following the account, and the class is either fake or real account. So given a set of Twitter accounts, you classify them as real ones or fake ones, right? And how do you classify them? Because you already have set of Twitter accounts with some parameters and which indicating like this Twitter account is real and this Twitter account is fake. So using this previous data, you classify the new given data as fake or real. Even the handwritten digit recognition, where the input is an image and the class labels is 0 to 9. The next type, what you have the regression, which involves predicting a numerical label. So example here is what predicting the number of people who will click a Google ad based on the ad content and the data about the user's prior online behavior, right? So depending on what we are doing the online surfing, it will accordingly show the ads on the Google page. So predicting the number of traffic accidents based on the road conditions and speed limit, right? Or predicting the selling price of a real estate based on its location, size, and condition. So here the outputs are in case of a number. It's a numerical label, right? So this is about supervised learning, where the data is given to teach the machine, and once the machine is trained using the given data, it will try to classify the newly data which is given. right, into a proper class level. Next, what you have is unsupervised learning, right? So before understanding the unsupervised learning, let us say, imagine yourself as a person who has never heard of or seen any sports being played. Then you are taken to a cricket match and left to figure out what it is that you are watching. You can't refer to the knowledge of other sports and try to find some similarities or differences that will eventually help in understanding of cricket. You have nothing but your cognitive ability. This is unsupervised learning, right? It describes a class of problems that involves using a model to describe or extract relationships in data. So when you're taken to a cricket match and you're left, you don't have any background of cricket match. You don't have any background of sports, but only looking at the cricket match and using some intuition, you have to find out the relationship between and come up with what it is, right? So compared to supervised learning, unsupervised learning operates upon only the input data without output or target variables. So unsupervised learning does not have a teacher correcting the model as in case of supervised learning. Now you have types of unsupervised learning. The main types are clustering and density estimation. So clustering is unsupervised learning problem that involves finding groups in data. And the most famous and the popular clustering algorithm you have is K-means, right? So K-means is a clustering algorithm where K refers to the number of clusters to discover in the data, right? And kernel density estimation is unsupervised learning problem that involves summarizing the distribution of data. Okay? So there we are talking about grouping the data, and here we are talking about distribution of the data. Example, you have kernel density estimation. It involves using small group of closely related data samples to estimate the distribution for new points in the problem space. Okay? So clustering and density estimation may be performed to learn about the patterns in the data. Supervised learning task finds patterns where we have data set of right answers to learn from, but unsupervised learning task finds patterns where we don't have anything, right? And this may be because the right answer are unobservable or infeasible to obtain, or maybe for a given problem, there isn't even a right answer. Okay? So it has to learn from the existing data. So it is used against data without any historical labels. The system is not given a predetermined set of outputs or correlations between inputs and outputs or a correct answer. Right? So there's no reference here. The algorithm must figure out what it is seeing by itself. It has no storage of reference point. There's no previous data stored to carry out a reference. The goal is to explore the data and find some sort of patterns of structure. This is about unsupervised. So you don't have any data for reference to learn. Whatever data is given, you have to learn it from that data automatically. Next, what you have is semi-supervised learning. In short, we'll be calling it as SSL, right? So the AI, unlike supervised learning, which uses labeled data, unsupervised, which is given no labeled data at all, SSL uses both. The AI learns from the labeled data to then make a judgment on the unlabeled data and find patterns and relationships, etc. Right? In case of semi-supervised, it is a supervised learning where the training data contains very few labeled examples and a large number of unlabeled examples. The goal here is to make effective use of all the available data, not just the labeled data like in case of supervised learning. With SSL, including a lot of unlabeled data in the training process, often improves the precision of the end result while time and cost are reduced. So here it is combination of supervised and unsupervised. So less of supervised and more of unsupervised. So many problems from the field of computer vision, natural language processing, automatic speech recognition fall into this category and cannot be easily addressed using standard supervised learning methods. Because even if you are talking about natural language processing and or speech recognition, you may not have the perfect data set ready to train the machine, right? It may be some partial data available and other data is assumed to be classified. So in many cases, the reference data needed for solving the problem is available, but it is either incomplete or somehow inaccurate. This is where the semi-supervised learning comes to rescue. It helps it helps since it is able to access the available reference data and then use unsupervised learning techniques to do the best to fill the gaps, right? So SSL is also useful in reducing human bias in the process. Why biasing comes here? Because a fully labeled supervised learning AI has been labeled by a human, and this poses the risk of results potentially being skewed due to the improper labeling, because it depends on the human being who's labeled it, right? But if it is in semi-supervised, the biasing problem is reduced. The fourth type what we have is reinforcement learning, right? It describes a class of problems where an agent operates in an environment and must learn to operate using feedback, right? It's a type of dynamic programming that trains algorithms using a system of reward and punishment. A simple example, if you talk about reinforcement learning, is training the pets, right? We train pets for some activity, and if they do it correctly, we give them some input, a reward in the case of a biscuit or something what the pets like. And if they don't do it, we punish them, right? So if you do it the correct step, you get a reward. If you don't go through a correct step, you get a punishment. So it consists of three components: the agent, which is nothing but an AI learner or decision maker; the environment, everything the agent has interaction with; and actions, what the agent can do. So algorithm learns by interacting with its environment. It receives rewards by performing correctly and penalties for doing so incorrectly. Therefore, it learns without having to be directly taught by a human. That is, it learns by seeking the greatest reward and minimizing the penalty. So here learning is tied to a context, because what may lead to maximum reward in one situation may be directly associated with penalty in another, right? So learning occurs via reward feedback, which is known as the reinforcement signal. The drawback in case of reinforcement learning is it might go in infinite loop just to collect the rewards, right? So that you may not get the solution. The example here is playing a game where the agent has a goal of getting a high score and can make moves in the game and receive feedback in terms of punishment or rewards. The computer online games what children play nowadays. To go on correct, you keep on collecting the points. If a wrong move, you lose the points. That is a punishment, right? A very good example is Facebook's news feed, right? So Facebook users uses machine learning to personalize people's feed. If we frequently read or like a particular friend's activity, the news feed will begin to bring it up more to that friend's activity. It's nearer to the top. If we stop interacting with this friend's activity in the same way, the data set will be updated and the news feed will consequently adjust. Okay? So if you are accessing it frequently, it will always come on the top of your news feed. If slowly you reduce clicking on the activities, then it will be down, right? So that is reinforcement learning. Next, and the most important one right now is deep learning, right? It's a specialized form of machine learning. We can say it's a subdomain of machine learning, and machine learning is subdomain of artificial intelligence, that is AI. So we all are interconnected. It's an artificial intelligence function that imitates the working of human brain in processing data and creating patterns for use in decision making, right? So deep learning uses a higher level of artificial neural networks for the machine learning process. Now these networks are built to resemble the way of the human brain functions, with neural nodes interconnected. So the neural nodes are interconnected like a web. So hierarchical functions of deep learning systems enable processing data in non-linear way. The standard machine learning workflow starts with manually extracting selected features from images. Then these features are used to create a model for categorizing the selected objects, right? But in case of deep learning workflow, relevant features are extracted automatically, right? There's no human involvement here, right? It performs end-to-end learning. It's given a raw data and task to perform, such as classification, and it learns how to do this by itself. So in machine learning, we manually choose features and classify to sort images. But in case of deep learning, feature extraction and modeling steps are automatic. So it saves lots of time because there's no data pre-processing. The machine has to learn from the given raw data. Okay? I hope all the 5 learning modes are clear of the machine learning. We talked about supervised, where a teacher is there in the class to teach and under supervision you learn. We talked about unsupervised, that is like self-learning without teacher's presence, where the student is carrying out self-learning. Then we have semi-supervised, where along with the presence of the teacher, the students are asked to do their self-learning. Then we talked about reinforcement learning, like when a student does good in the exams, he gets a reward. And if he doesn't do good, he fails, right? And then we talked about deep learning. Deep learning is the most popular technique nowadays, which is work with big data, right? There are some drawbacks with deep learning also, and there are some advantages also. Advantages also is like you don't need to carry out the deep data pre-processing and all, the process is automatic. But the drawback is deep learning works with large amount of data. In some applications, large data set is not available. So in that case, a synthetic data set is created, which may not give the results what are expected. Thank you. I hope the concept is clear. Stay home, stay safe.